And so what it keeps going, and it says, a whole nation was made free because of the faith of one person. There might be a nation waiting on you today. There might be a whole family waiting on you today. There might be a whole classroom of children waiting on you today. There may be a whole group of people waiting for deliverance because you're stuck in complacency. God will accomplish his plans one way or the other, yet God is inviting you to be a part of his plans. It won't always be comfortable. It won't always be easy, but you'll probably need to step forward, not knowing anything other than you're far out with God on the end of a limb, believing that he wants you to make his fame known to this generation of people. Yet if you move in faith, God will always breathe life on your journey. I think that's the way the shepherd boy was thinking when he walked into the valley. Great.
That's good.
That was really good, Jakes.
Yeah. One step. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
The battle's already won.
That.
Spoiler alert.
That was a little bit better. Cool. We got some red lights on our audio interface for that one. That was good.
Nice.
Well, my name is Kyle, for those who haven't met me, and I'm here with Callie, Charles, and Ashley, and this is Generation Giants Podcast. How many of you guys have heard of Generation Giants Podcast before? I know we got some in the mix.
Okay, a few.
I want to start with some shout-outs, man. I know we got Josh Campbell in the background, one of our
Raps.
former guests on the podcast. Shout out, Josh.
Surf.
Yeah, that was one of his.
Song.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right. We should have played one of his music videos before the podcast or something.
Next time,
December 12th.
Lead singer that y'all just heard on stage, Michael Simmons. He's been on the podcast, just FYI. Michael Root. Is Michael Root still in here? He's somewhere. Okay, shout out Michael Root. He's been on there 4 times, so he's bought into the podcast. I ought to be paying him some kind of salary or something.
A repeat offender.
Yeah, a repeat offender. So, Michael, are we still doing Stingrays Friday? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're doing Stingrays Friday.
Well, now you have to invite everyone in the room because that was rude.
Yeah. Well, okay, Stingrays 7:00 Friday, right? Who's been to a Stingrays game?
That's the
Harper
Cruise.
Oh.
Okay, don't go to a Stingrays game. Sorry, I'm going to the Harper Cruise. Michael, we're canceling our plans.
Times are tough. Okay.
So for those that are checking out the video, checking out the podcast, we are doing our first live recording at the Seacoast Church College in 20s.
Yes, sir.
All right. At the Seacoast Church College in 20s.
Woo!
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to add that I did request cue cards to tell you guys when to clap and when
where's
to
Jackson?
laugh. Jackson, cue cards. Come on, model what we're supposed
Jackson
to do.
is our cue card model.
And
Just up.
it's fine.
All right.
You're doing great.
All right, as a brief introduction, today we are talking about the topic of identity, okay? So just a little bit of, some easy territory, right?
Yes, sir.
No, just another day, just another Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the topic of identity, what that means to us, and more importantly, how we hope to encourage you guys. So, for starters, how many of you guys listen to podcasts here? Can we get some? Yeah, right. Hey, we listen to podcasts. Cool. So, just as a little bit of background, so I've personally been impacted a lot by podcasts, okay? So if you don't listen to podcasts, I encourage you to check it out. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, they're all over the place. And the whole concept of a podcast is basically you get to listen to a conversation, right? So it's a little bit different. Tonight's going to be different than the normal Wednesday. And you just get to listen to a conversation and a little bit of extra vulnerability and hear some nuggets from people that maybe you wouldn't normally get to listen to. So tonight's intent is maybe a little bit different than the normal thing, but I want to encourage everyone, check out podcasts. We are just one of the many podcasts out there. I will tell you, we are one of the few podcasts that tries to bring on young people that are 18, 16. We've had Steven on there twice, I think. Yeah, we've had Steven on there twice. And we've even had a 13-year-old that raised $600,000 for charity. Yeah. So we have people with crazy stories from this sort of chapter and even the chapter before us. So I know we're talking to college and 20s right now, but whoever we're talking to, our message is the same. Our message is that you are capable of more than you believe, and you can do more than you believe. You can do more than you think is possible, and that's the underlying message. Whatever you think is possible for you today, that through development, through God, through faith, that you can do more than you ever thought was possible. And that's the underlying message that we're going to be talking about with identity. So, good. Any other opening thoughts you guys have?
No, you did a really
Charles, how's your workout, dude? So
Yeah,
you just came straight
yeah.
from you just flew over here, literally.
Yeah.
Charles
Charles in the Air Force, everybody.
Yeah,
Charles is a pilot, U.S. Air Force.
So I'll address the big blue elephant in the room.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
So I was in traffic, right? And I called everybody, and just to kind of let them know, like, hey, man, I'm not sure if I'll make it on time. Blase blah, right? So I kind of just figured I was not going to make it home. So I just came right here, right after PT. So this is why I'm in all blue today. So
Some dedication.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
Here to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. How was y'all's day? Good?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Good talk. How are the kids? So Callie and Ashley are both teachers, Somerville
Yeah.
High School.
Yep. We
Yes,
teach the
we
same
are.
kind of group-ish.
Any other teachers in the
Freshmen?
audience? Okay, proud teachers.
Yeah.
Woo, they're
I'm
probably
sure there's
sleeping.
one. I'm sure there's one in the mix.
Teachers. Yeah, that's us.
How are
We
the
both
kiddos today?
teach ninth grade. I teach English. Ashley teaches
Math, algebra 1. Yeah.
So we share some kids. It's pretty funny. Usually they like her more than
Sometimes.
me. It's fine. It's really fine. But
Not all the time.
Did they get y'all confused at all today? Talking about identity.
no.
That was kind of a segue.
No. No, a lot of times we get asked
Maybe
if we're
debatable.
sisters.
Yeah. very
Sisters
debatable.
or
Like, did y'all come from the same place because you talk the same?
we do get that a lot, that we have the same
Um,
voice. So let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, feedback.
Who is who?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ashley,
knows?
our communications director, you'll do a poll.
Yeah,
Yes.
do a poll.
Do we
On
sound the
Instagram.
same?
Okay, this is where I tell you, pull out your phones and go to
All right.
Instagram and
Just
look
like we
up.
rehearsed. It was good.
That was
good on
great.
cue.
That was
I'm
great.
serious. Pull out your phones. And
Do it.
you're gonna want to go to Instagram. You got that right? Yes.
I don't have social media, or else I'd follow it.
And then you're going to want to look up Generation Giants podcast. And that's where you can follow our page to see what we're doing next, how to contact us if you have any ideas. Really just a way to communicate with us and for us to reach out to you. So
Yeah.
you for sure want to follow that.
I think the biggest thing is we're always looking for, I guess, not the next store necessarily, but like who's out there, who we could be highlighting, who we can be showing off. And we only know so many people, so we need a lot of that from our followers saying, hey, have you heard of just like this kid who raised $600,000 for charity? So yeah, you can
Shout out
DM
Scotty
Ashley.
Parker.
And
Yeah, I'll respond. Don't worry.
you'll hear from Ashley.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Ashley's
we're
on it.
always looking to see who we can highlight and who we can show off for the podcast and who's making a difference in our city and state.
Cool deal. Cool deal. So tonight, talking about identity. So let's maybe talk about why this topic is even important. Why should people care? And this is actually, as far as the podcast goes, so tonight we don't have a guest. This is like our co-host team. And so we're kind of finishing a series called I Wish Someone Told Me. That's the name of the series. So we did one on relationships, talking about how you deal with people and how to be a better people person. Last week / 3 days ago,
Right, yeah.
we recorded one on college and career, which was really good. Highly encourage you guys to check it out. It comes out this Sunday. And then this was on identity. So why is this important? What do you guys think? Okay, I'll kick off.
Who's going first?
Okay, I'll kick off.
It's
Yeah, I
live.
want to hear
I
it.
thought we talked about this.
Sorry, it's
We
live.
totally didn't talk about this. No, so how you view yourself, I think, determines what you're able to do. How you view yourself determines what you're able to do. And it's very difficult, I think, for people that are still, let's call it, below 30. I don't know, Stephen has better statistics on this. It's a challenge to overcome some lies that maybe you've been told either in school or in the workplace or by parents or lack of friends or from your friends, people you thought were your friends. Sometimes those voices ring in your ears. And so those affect how you view yourself and your place in the world. And the word that came to mind, if I can ask you guys what word comes to mind when we're talking about identity, to me personally, purpose comes to mind. What is your purpose? Because I think how you view yourself, again, will determine your purpose, and your purpose will help reinforce your identity. And we're in church, and so, people in church hopefully have their identity centered on Christ, right? So that's sort of the theological thing. And here on the podcast, we're not necessarily trying to preach or trying to put forth any agenda. This is just kind of who we are. But having your identity in Christ, having your identity focused on a Father that loves you as your foundation, gives you the freedom to understand who you are and move forward in a purpose. Yeah. And so I think that's important.
Yeah, and if I can jump onto that, man, I think to go along with knowing yourself, just kind of knowing how you interact with people, right? One thing we kind of talk about on the podcast is being intentional, right? Like with our relationships. And it's really hard for me to be intentional or me to be really genuine with you or anyone else if I don't really know, I guess, just a lot about myself. Obviously, not just like memory stuff, but a lot about how I think, why I do the things that I do. So, yeah, just kind of my 2 cents in that.
Oh, yeah. I think something we've been talking about as a group on and off the podcast is our 2 main points really is protecting our community who's we're allowing it to speak into our lives and to talk us through some things as we do discover our purpose and our passions and our identity. And in the same way, knowing yourself and your rhythms and like how I think when we talked about our work in college, really knowing all of us chose small schools, but that didn't come immediately. That came from us really seeking what we needed from a school and who we were as people who needed like what we needed from a small school environment. So really just with this idea of identity is really I think I would just say keep seeking a lot of introspection, I guess, in your life. And in the same way, working with others and making sure you know who to invite in that space, because that is such a intimate place in your heart and in your life to grow yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and going off of growing in your purpose, I've kind of thought about when you asked this question, like your comfort zone. Like if you're sitting here comfortable, are you really pursuing your identity or who Christ wants you to be? Just making sure you reach out to others and that you're running your race and that through your purpose and your identity, you're helping others, you're reaching out, you're not just sitting comfortable. Hanging.
Let's be clear. This is not my. I'm used to talking.
No,
I'm used
absolutely
to teaching
not.
kids that I know I'm smarter
the Connect
than.
team.
And
now the one-on-one.
And of course, right? It's just
without
harder.
100 people listening.
Yeah, right. And I guess when we're just at a kitchen table and doing a podcast, it's not so intimidating. But this is a lot.
No, this is fun. No,
putting yourself out there. Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, and to your point, like I'm a civil engineer. I'm probably the least sociable person in the room right now. Am I right?
You said
like
it.
engineers. Like the only thing worse is architects.
Architects.
All right. That's an inside joke for everyone in this room. I used to want to be one.
No, this is serious.
The
joke.
Every architect.
The joke was on the last episode / next episode that comes out / time warp thing. Yeah, we talked about one of the architects growing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
cool.
But yeah, so identity. So maybe next question then. What has been most impactful to you on discovering your purpose and identity?
Oh yeah.
I can go first. I think. Oh wait, was this for all us? Oh, it was on the
board. No,
okay,
you got the momentum. Should I stop you?
No.
Okay.
For me in discovering my purpose and identity, I wish somebody would have told me that. Well, of course, we all know that we need to be convening with the Lord and meeting with God and seeking Him. But I wish somebody would have told me how important it is to have regular check-ins with yourself or within community or both. And like the intentional monthly or yearly check-in saying, okay, I'll give an example. Last New Year's, we all, some of us got together and we just really took some time reflecting on what 2017 looked like for us, what we felt the Lord was calling into our 2018. A lot of guided questions and a lot of time together just saying, what do we want from 2018 and where do we think the Lord is leading us in 2018? What words are guiding us in 2018 and how we're going to impact the kingdom in 2018? And let me say 2018 one more time. Yeah. But seriously, I think that that intentional moment really set the stage for my year. And I hope everyone else who were with in that time, Jakes, and Michelle, and a couple of other friends. But that part I have found in my life when I'm doing intentional check-ins with myself. I would say I did a Daniel fast in April, and that is one of those like markings of my walk with Christ and just checking myself, my intentions, what I want my life to look like as I seek the Lord and try and make a difference in the kingdom, before the kingdom. I think just making the intentional moments count and really forcing yourself through those sometimes, I guess, because they are hard and they are intimate, but they're markers in your walk and in your life.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, going off of that, kind of just this, everyone may already know this, but just be intentional about who you let into your life, especially when you are striving for finding your purpose and seeking the right guidance. Just make sure that people in your life are speaking life into you and who you want to hang out with, what you want to do. Not just being careful not to just let anyone in. And then understanding that your identity is in the future, not in your past.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So just make sure the people that you're spending the most time with are the people that are lifting you up. They're the people who are bringing you to church, to large group gatherings, because you are not defined by your past.
Yeah, that's good, Jakes.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah, I think with that, I guess the big thing with identity is knowing that, like you said, in the future, it's always changing, right? So like who I was at 20
Yeah, I'd agree.
is very different from who I am today as 25, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of that has to do with like your mentors, right? So Pop is a good mentor of mine.
Stephen Popovich for those that
sorry.
not his
may not be on the
name.
last name first syllable basis.
Yeah, I apologize. But I got a Chaplain Rash. He's somebody who's kind of been instrumental in shaping my life and also in shaping my identity, right? So, yeah, I like that point.
Yeah.
That's good. I think a question, too, that I'd just like to pose to the listeners is, do you really believe that you are made for great things? Because I see so many people almost sleepwalking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not to say I'm like any kind of crazy, hey, he's anything special kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we seriously ask ourselves that, the answer is yes, by the way. Mm-hmm. So the answer is, what are you going to do about that, right? What are you going to do? If you seriously believe your identity, if you're made in the image of God, as we're in church here talking about, if you're made in the image of God, what does that mean? Okay, we can't really pull everything here, but if you seriously believe that, then you should believe that there are almost no limits to what you're capable of achieving in this lifetime, right?
Yeah.
That you can, maybe you can't achieve what you want to do today,
right?
But you can make a step toward what you want to do and keep stepping, keep pushing, keep moving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see that. And so often, the last episode, I feel like I said paralysis by analysis like 8 times. So I'm going to say it again.
It's good.
It's like you don't know what to do, or you see this huge chunk that you don't know how to overcome. And it's like, you just got to make a step today. Mm-hmm. Like, just be faithful today in what your purpose is. Like, it might be the person sitting next to you here, might be the person sitting next to you at work or at school, in church this Sunday, in your family, right? That's one thing I'm trying to get better at, is spending more time with like my blood family, right? Yeah. Right. How many people, I feel like I have to say that because to me, family is a little bit broader, but how many times do Christians, are they like really passionate about people like in their church circle, but they just neglect their own family, right? Their own brother or their own sister, like literal brother or sister or mom or dad, right? Yeah. So that's something I'm trying to get more intentional about. But like, bottom line, you should be striving for what is that calling that you are called to. And probably what breaks my heart the most is 2 words, is unfulfilled potential. That probably breaks my heart to see more than anything. Whenever I see people that I just look at them and I'm like, I know he or she's capable of amazing things, not only today, but years from now, if they would just start to move in that direction, or move a little bit quicker in that direction, and stop moving in circles and stop really wasting time, right? Like, invest your time. Don't just spend your time, invest your time, right? Yeah. And I'm not even saying like don't have fun. Like, investing is fun. Investing is a lot of fun. Can you get
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, for the last like 12 podcasts, we mentioned Dave Ramsey. Okay.
There, one more time.
Yeah, just bring him in again. Hey, so Dave Ramsey has a podcast. He releases like 12 episodes a day.
Hours.
It's like all he does is just talking to a mic and then chunk it up into 30-minute segments.
There you go.
And release it.
It works.
Yeah, no, Dave's great. Yeah. So like for podcasts and talking about Dave, right? You listen in your car or whatever to develop yourself and begin to get ideas. Because again, like Barbell Shrugged is a fitness podcast. Like, encouraged me to do a weightlifting competition, which I feel like I have to clarify. I had to clarify with my former employers. That's not where you get on stage and pose.
Yeah.
Praise God.
That's a
But you
bodybuilding
could.
company.
Yeah, that's bodybuilding.
Right. Yeah.
So many people don't know.
Yeah.
Some people don't know what weightlifting is actually,
Yeah,
but
that's why we're here.
it's not powerlifting either. But anyway,
I lifted weights once in high school.
Two weights once.
I curled the dumbbell once.
Once or twice. I'm just kidding. Actually, at the high school we went to, everyone had to lift weights over the summer. So a girl in here I went to high school with. We were called, our mascot, we were the Red Devils, so they were called the Iron Devils.
Ooh.
We're legit.
nice.
That's intimidating.
Okay.
We're legit.
The Iron Devils. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, check me out in high school.
Also, Ashley just reminded us not to live in our past. So moving
on.
Yeah, the past never happened.
My identity is in the future
My identity
Right.
is not in the Iron Devils.
anymore.
No longer. Yeah. Well, Ashley here is a notorious sinner. She's a fan of the Duke Blue Devils. And so
I was
it's-
going with this one.
All right.
any Tar Heel fans? Anybody back up? Tar Heel fans?
We're in South
Got it.
Carolina.
All right.
All right. Don't watch
That
basketball.
was not a good poll.
Next time.
And moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Kyle, you said something that I kind of want to hop on. So you said something about like moving forward in God's purpose for our life, right? So in the military, we have this common term, and it's just send it. Like whatever's on the paper, whatever you're doing, just send it. Just move forward, right? The paralysis by analysis thing, before I kind of joined ROTC and was doing all the pilot stuff, and I can definitely remember talking to Pop about this a lot. Just like, man, I don't know what God wants me to do in this life, and so I kind of remember Pop saying something along the lines of send it. He didn't say it necessarily just like that, but I just kind of moved forward, right? And so I think in moving forward, we find our purpose along the way. And
I like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes, I do think God obviously cares about our occupation, but what I really think God cares about is how we interact with other people, right?
Yeah.
So in the Bible, it talks about they will know us by how we love each other, right? So now that's my purpose. That's what I think about now. Like, is flying going to be cool? Of course, right? Like, that's going to be awesome. But at the end of the day, and I kind of said this Sunday, spoiler alert, go listen to the podcast next Sunday.
You said in the past, going to be in a release in the future.
Yeah. However long I fly, however long I serve my time, in the Air Force, I hope that's not what defines me. Like a pretty ribbon rack or a pretty, recognition sheet. Like, that's cool and all. But, I think that's what God's purpose for us as Christians collectively, our collective purpose is.
No, I like that you brought that up again, because I was thinking about the question this week, what do you want to be known for?
Yeah.
And you shared from a book, the book started with a passage, something along the lines of, whoever, whatever, lived a simple and
right,
a simple and clean, ordinary life.
Right.
And it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, man. That's kind of, once again, spoiler alert. Y'all definitely got to go check out this one next Sunday.
So how about you guys? What do you want to be known for?
That's a hard question. That's a good one, though.
Yeah, that's good.
I know, at least for me, I want to be, I want to be known as someone that had a lot of faith.
Amen.
A lot of faith in people, a lot of faith in purpose. Even when things looked really, really bad, that he still had faith, right? And I think that is hopefully something that everyone may want a little piece of that sort of mission there. Like I think about people I look up to. They said things that I really like they want to be known as a grinder, like someone just perseveres, and that's something that has kind of become a part of my general life direction and purpose. I think you guys more or less know, but. I'll share it so going to the Citadel, I'll share this sort of brief story. Going to the Citadel, before going to the Citadel, I did a month where I lived on campus and did kind of like cadet life type thing. Yeah. And we had to do the PT test twice a week. And which is not really a big deal, actually. You run 2 miles and you do push-ups for 2 minutes and sit-ups for 2 minutes. Okay. So you can do a PT test in like 12 minutes.
I'm going to try, right?
But so doing that, playing high school football, high school baseball, doing a PT test twice a week. After like the third PT test, I was like injured. Like XPT, they called it, right? You know, XPT, right? Air Force, they called it XPT.
I forget what we call it.
All right, well, I'll hold.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
All right. So anyway, so fast forward. So I was not an endurance guy, right? Not a perseverance guy, right? And over time, just one run at a time, right? One step at a time, one stretch at a time, right? That was one thing I learned. You got to kind of like stay limber.
Yeah, stretching is good.
Nobody likes stretching.
No.
Like, I don't know. The girls are so much better at the yoga game than us.
The yoga.
Yeah. Y'all were talking about hot yoga too. I've never done hot yoga.
Really?
Have you done hot yoga?
I haven't yet. I heard it's really good though.
Okay.
I heard
it's
Do we have any hot yoga fans in the? No, maybe.
All right.
Oh, we got a hand in the back.
people.
We got a hand in the
All
back.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
thank you.
Say.
Bless you. Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
I'm advocating for stretching and staying injury free. So anyway, so I was like the least capable person of going to the Citadel. I mean, not to mention other things that I've talked about in other episodes of the podcast. You know, my body doesn't produce enough cortisol, like a whole medical deal that I have to take medication every night for. It's like other things. And so I had to get special permission to go to Citadel. And going through the Citadel was just one run at a time, one day at a time that I wanted to get off campus for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the only way to do that is to run, right? And so for sure, perseverance and endurance, one reason I love the sport, and Pop, as we'll just continue to refer to him, most people don't even know he's run at least one marathon. He's run 2 half Ironman triathlons. He's an endurance guy. He understands the endurance game, right?
Learn something new every day.
And I'm kind of hogging the time, but I'll make this kind of quick. So one other thing I want to be known for is perseverance, right? One run at a time. And, you know, and fast forward, sophomore year at the Citadel, competed in my first Ironman triathlon. Didn't actually make it to the end. Went to the ER, okay?
Uh-oh.
No reaction.
At mile 130, okay?
Well then.
Trained for a whole nother year and then finished an Ironman in Florida, right?
Nice.
And so, you know, it just takes one step at a time, one run at a time, and you have no idea what you're capable of if you just continue on that path. And I know that people in this room, people that are listening, whether they're 15 or 25 or anywhere in between, you know, they have businesses that they've thought about starting or nonprofits that they've thought about starting, interviews that they thought about going after, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if you just have that mindset that there's something more, not for the sake of greed or anything like that, but there's something more that I am capable of, and keep pursuing that, you're going to keep moving that line. Yeah. We talked about comfort and getting out of your comfort zone. That's one thing I'm trying to, even in this current season, get more out of my comfort zone, because I was getting kind of stagnant. It's like
for sure. Well, not for sure, but I'm just.
Thanks. Thanks for reaffirming that point.
For sure, stagnant.
Really stagnant.
No, but when I was staying in Ecuador, the man who owned the hostel, he led tours up mountains, and somehow I was blessed enough to go along with him, and a lot of the time unwillingly, but you know, do as the Romans do. And you know, his advice the whole time was never look ahead of you, because you're not going to finish. Just keep your head down and look at the next step. And in the same way, I am not the most patient person, but I'm having to play a game with myself. How much grace can I show in a day? Oh, this person, you know, dropped the ball on this project. Ha ha ha, it's fine. Like, we'll work it out, guys, you know? And just how can I get to this place of being more patient and more forgiving, and one step at a time. So for me, it's playing games, and how much grace can I show?
That's good.
How much can I love others and smile doing it? And hopefully in the process, actually that become my heart. But
yeah, I feel like, do you feel like you learned that from your parents? Because you were sharing your dad had this game where it's like, how high can her SAT score get?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. My dad's high school football coach, college football coach,
That
and
might
I've been
explain it.
hustling my whole life. Nothing does sound slow. And
Oh my.
and yeah, just the next step. How can we get better? How can we improve? Just like a commitment to excellence. Camden High School's theme.
Vince Lombardi.
Theme. I guess Vince Lombardi's theme that Camden High School uses.
Sorry, I'll give your high school the credit. Y'all
They made it up first.
Y'all definitely coined that. Vince took it.
For sure. But yeah, just seeking and taking step by step every day. Do you have something, Jake?
That's good.
Yeah, I've just been waiting for the right time because everything goes with this. But
Okay.
no.
Get it.
It's
Hope
okay.
that
It's
sticky
okay.
note
It's
wasn't
okay.
important.
I already talked about that stuff.
Okay.
All right. So
What you want to share?
So this book, Goliath Must Fall, by Louie, Giglio,
Cool.
is basically around the story David and Goliath, right? In the Bible.
Right.
And so I'm going to read a passage, read a passage. Ready? All right. So, and I am not an English teacher. I'm a math teacher, so bear with me. I have a deep conviction that the greatest regret any of us will ever know is that of standing before Jesus knowing we lived too safe, too comfortable, too short-sighted, realizing we were gluttons for pleasure when we were supposed to be lean warriors for others' freedom and Jesus' fame. So kind of going along with the comfort and taking it one step at a time, David, when Goliath showed up, all the people were like, no, I'm not going. But all it took was one step from David.
Yeah.
And the whole basic idea around the book is that Jesus won the battle. We're not David. We're not running into our battles.
Right.
Our battle's already won. We get to be the people celebrating because the battle's over and it's won. Yeah. And so what it keeps going, and it says, a whole nation was made free because of the faith of one person. There might be a nation waiting on you today. There might be a whole family waiting on you today. There might be a whole classroom of children waiting on you today. There may be a whole group of people waiting for deliverance because you're stuck in complacency. God will accomplish his plans one way or the other, yet God is inviting you to be a part of his plans. It won't always be comfortable. It won't always be easy, but you'll probably need to step forward, not knowing anything other than you're far out with God on the end of a limb, believing that he wants you to make his fame known to this generation of people. Yet if you move in faith, God will always breathe life on your journey. I think that's the way the shepherd boy was thinking when he walked into the valley. Great.
That's good.
That was really good, Jake.
Yeah.
One step. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
The battle's already
Love
won. Spoiler alert.
Well, and I think so much
My
of that.
favorite story.
Yeah, they can't make a movie about Jesus' life.
Yeah.
Wait, they did.
So much of that is recognizing that it's not just about us.
Yeah.
Our steps could mean so many steps for someone else. Our steps mean so much more than just ourselves in our lives and in this moment. So I think with that perspective, with a kingdom outlook and a heavenly outlook, I feel like, I don't know, just doing the hard steps, doing the hard steps. Ultimately, it's not going to be that hard knowing that there's so much greater in our future if we make the step.
Yeah.
Kyle, I wanna jump back on that question. What do we want to be known for? Right. I was thinking about that as you were going. I was like, I don't know. You know, I listened to a sermon a while back. I believe it was by Francis Chan. I can't remember, but it probably was. And throughout the course of the sermon, he posed the question, what do your friends say about you? Right. So whatever, write that down. Outgoing, funny, inspiring, whatever. Right. Now, what do you think God says about you? And if there are two different things, why do you think that is? And so maybe to answer your question, I want to be known for being genuine. When I leave this earth, when I, reach the other side, I want to be the same person before God that I am with Kyle, Callie, Ashley, Chandler. That's my girlfriend.
Hey, Chandler.
Friends at school. Courtney, let me shout out my friend Courtney. I just want to be genuine. I want to be the same throughout. So
It's good.
just kind of jump back on that.
That's
That's
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I like
I
that.
thought of it myself.
I might have to steal
Fran
that.
Chan gave
Up
that one to me. What's up?
Skins. Yeah. High five.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh. Okay. Well. All right. I don't even want to say anything else. We actually are running out of time on the bulk of the podcast. I think we're planning on coming back for an official close. I'll just kind of end this segment with a quote from this Monday. We had small group, so shout out to Christina Wan for hosting, leading us a study, and had an Andy Stanley series, and they said a couple of really good quotes. So here's one I'll leave this segment with. It's pretty applicable. He said, "You're not really alive until you have a few hold your nose and jump moments." you're not really alive until you have a few hold your nose and jump moments. And so I think that's really good. And so we're gonna segue to a little bit of fellowship Q&A time. So I'm gonna pass this back to Stephen before we go on. Well, hey guys, as we begin to wind down the podcast, just want to kind of summarize and kind of just answer the question as the cap of the series of things I wish someone told me about identity. And kind of the one that stuck out to me that I'll just kind of very briefly go through. I already kind of talked about it. Napoleon Hill is an author of a book called Outwitting the Devil. It's a book that I'm a big fan of. It's not necessarily a spiritual or Christian book, but it's a very interesting read. It was one of those few books that I just ate up like candy when I got it last year. And so I think this is really good, and this is something I think I wish people told me. He says, I've also discovered that there comes with every experience of temporary defeat and every failure and every form of adversity the seed of an equivalent benefit. That's what I wish someone told me. Whenever you experience some kind of failure or setback, it gives you a seed of an equivalent benefit. So I mean, it goes back to James, right? James talks about rejoicing in your struggles and trials, right? And that's something that I hope that people can gravitate toward. And that's something I wish someone told me, whenever you're growing up or even you feel like you're already grown up, but you experience setback. It's like, remember that setback creates the seed of something bigger and better that'll come along later. So that's what I wish someone told me. Callie, you already shared, but you want to kind of summarize?
Yeah, I'll reiterate. I wish somebody told me, the importance of checking in with yourself, checking in with community, and how you're doing and your growth mindset, and just really making those times intentional and constant to make sure you're just trekking along.
Nice.
It's good.
I wish somebody would have told me just that it's okay really to be who you are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in today's culture, it's either or, right? Either I watch Fox News or I watch CNN, but you can't watch both or whatever. I had to insert that political science as my major. So anyway, but yeah, man, I think growing up, I was kind of always just hyper aware of what other people thought of me, and that I always needed to fit in. But ultimately, like, hey, man, I'm 25. Like, the things that I like probably are not going to change. Like, I love Star Wars, right? I love Japanese cartoons. So anime, it's still at 25. I hear there you go. All right. That's, yeah.
Hey, you got
involvement. We don't have any.
We can talk more about Star Wars.
Other people do too, so that's cool. But yeah, that's what I wish somebody would have told me. I feel like when I was 18, I was like, oh man, now I'm adult. Now I'm grown. But I learned that I feel like I'm really not
keep growing.
Right?
Yeah,
until
just keep growing.
Yeah. So
good. Awesome.
Yeah. I wish someone would have told me what we said earlier. It's okay to be scared, but you got to step out of your comfort zone and know that the giants in your life are already dead. The victory has already been won. Your identity is in the future, and that's what the Lord has planned for you. You've just got to go.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
That's good.
That's good. Well, the last quote I'll give that I heard this week, which was really good, was, once you've tasted purpose, you can't go back to just existing. I think that's really good. So I want to encourage everybody, keep seeking who you are and keep developing who you are and keep coming to a better understanding of who you are and how you're made and whose image you're made in and whose you are and who you are. Keep developing that. And you may not ever have all the answers on who you are, but you can keep growing and keep pursuing. And I think your perfection is in your direction. And so keep your direction strong, keep it north. And that's about all we got. You got anything else, guys? Plugs.
And
Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Definitely.
shout out to the 26 followers we just gained. I know there are more of you in this room.
Yeah. We're going to check.
So they must already be
gonna check
following.
phones.
Oh, you're already followers.
already
Gosh
followers.
darn it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
There
most
we
of them
go.
are already followers.
That's
Duh.
But
Yes.
just in case you're late to the game, at Generation Giants Podcast. Follow us for the latest. We come out with podcasts.
Pretty much every 2
Yeah,
weeks.
pretty much every 2 weeks now, and we'll let you know when they're coming out. We also upload our film to YouTube, so you can check out our YouTube channel, and you're going to be on it.
Hey, Conlon, everybody wave to Conlon.
Y'all give
Yes.
Colin a round of applause.
All right,
for our
Colin.
cameraman.
Conlon. Yeah.
Conlon's one of my students here in the high school group.
Yeah.
He goes to Oceanside, playing football, big time. So any college administrators that are listening that want to offer
got good grades.
benefits or something.
Good
Yep.
guy. Great guy.
Great guy.
And if you guys have any Giants in your lives or know of any Giants here, there, anywhere,
Yep.
let us know.
Best thing about it, or one of the best things I think, is we're kind of open source, right? So we're pretty accessible, and you can come to us, and we just want to hear from you. So
Yeah. And thank you, Stephen, for allowing us to be here. Thank you.
For sure. This is
Yep.
so fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Seacoast
Our
Church.
first
and
live
Stephen
show.
Popovich. Cool.
And we're
Awesome, guys. Can we give it up for our panel here?
out.
Outside.